Welcome to our final matchup. I'm going to call this one the game of the week. Doughboy at Caesar. Not necessarily the game of the week because of high-scoring affair. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I know you're a little bit biased here, but see what you can do about putting that aside and looking at this in reality. Here we go. Tom Brady in Atlanta and Joe Flacco against Cleveland. I'm going to slightly give the edge to Tom Brady, and here's the reason why. I think he's upset. I think he thinks everyone probably thought he was a pansy last week and couldn't get it done. A revengeful Tom Brady is a Tom Brady that's good for fantasy owners.
Absolutely.
I think Joe Flacco will get a decent amount of points. I'm going to go 22 points for Tom Brady, and I'm going to go 21 to 20 points, I'll say, for Joe Flacco. Who do you give the edge to?
I think I'm right there with you. I think Tom Brady is another one of those guys that, on average, you don't bet against.
Mm-hmm.
I think last week it was rough.
Yeah, it was. 5 points rough, if I remember.
Absolutely rough.
Try to throw that out too.
But I don't think he's going to have two of those in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's been years since he's had a game without a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Joe Flacco is a good quarterback. He's had a few good weeks. I'm not down on Joe Flacco at all. I just think that Tom Brady's better.
Okay.
That's
all right, running backs, Thomas Jones and Felix Jones. Thomas Jones has a decent matchup. It's weird to say that against Tennessee, but it's turning out that way. But he has a good matchup against Tennessee. And Felix Jones against Carolina. Carolina is not good. And with Marion Barber probably going to be out, Felix Jones is a good play. But let me ask you this. Coming from the horse's mouth, have you considered Derek Ward at all? Derek Ward playing against the Giants, who gave up quite a bit of yards to both of the Cowboys running backs.
Looking at Derek Ward, I really liked him at the draft that we had a month before the season.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way.
However, Cadillac Williams has sprouted his head and blossomed into a decent fantasy flower. Derek Ward, while he was a good backup in New York, I think he can still be a good backup in Tampa Bay. Maybe if Barber's healthy, gets to be healthy by Monday, it's more of a consideration. But at this point, Felix Jones, I made the trade for him. I'm going to stick with him.
All right. On the other side of things, the Doughboy, Willis McGahee, part of the three-headed monster going against Cleveland. Cleveland isn't that good, but it's just a matter of which Baltimore running back are you going to pick and which one's going to perform that week. I do love the Tim Hightower play. We talked about this with the trade. I really still can't fathom why Greatest Show on Paper decided to trade him this week. He should have held on to him.
I wish he would have held on to him.
Yeah, and I would imagine you probably do. Tim Hightower slated to get 15 this week. I think he could probably get that at least, maybe even touch 20.
Looking at his running backs, I really like the Willis McGahee play. Copy.
Looking at his running backs.
Looking at his running backs, I really like the Willis McGahee play. He's had 2 good fantasy weeks. It's been a struggle for him over the years to stay healthy, and I think you're finally seeing the Willis McGahee that people hoped for when he came out of Miami.
You mean the Willis McGahee before his leg got snapped in half?
Yes.
It's just snapped.
Absolutely.
All right. Wide receivers for the Doughboy. Oh, before we go any further, who do you give the edge to the running backs to?
I'm going to give the edge to the Doughboy on this. I think between McGahee and Ty Howard, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they get in the 40-50 range between the two.
All right. I'm going to give the edge just slightly to Caesar here. I just think the matchups are just a little bit better, especially if Felix Jones probably carrying the weight of the Cowboys on his shoulders. Wide receivers, Greg Jennings and Patrick Creighton, and Braylon Edwards for the Doughboy. Larry Fitzgerald, Hines Ward, Derek Mason. I'm going to kind of call this a wash, but I think Caesar has way better wide receivers in the long run than the Doughboy. So matching up, I think I'm going to have to go with Caesar on this one. Fitzgerald, I don't think he's going to get a lot of points. Indianapolis has a good secondary. And then Hines Ward playing Cincinnati. Hines Ward's getting up there in years, and Derek Mason is father time. So I don't know. Who do you give the edge to?
The edge, I don't know. It's tough. I think Greg Jennings going against St. Louis. I think, as I said before, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be on his feet, have a little more time to throw. I think Greg Jennings, could have a big week. I said Patrick Creighton and Tony Romo. Contrary to what you believe, Tony Romo is not dating a blonde that we know of. He's not, so prime time. I think he's going to be a decent play this week for him. Overall, though, I have to agree with you. I think Larry Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald. And I think this new fantasy thing he has going for him with the receptions and the footballs and everything.
Giving out the football.
I'm excited because I'm a firm believer.
Why advertise yourself any more than you need to advertise yourself, though? Play fantasy football.
He does what he does, and he's good at it.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
Hines Ward gets his fair share of looks his way. I think I'm going to have to tilt the scales in my direction slightly.
All right, Braylon Edwards. Feel bad for the guy. At least he's starting to catch stuff this year. Yeah. But overall, I'm not really thrilled with him too much. Dallas Clark and the tight end against Jason Witten, two premier tight ends. I think I'm going to give my edge to Dallas Clark here, just a little bit, even though I do think Jason Witten is a security blanket for Tony Romo. What do you think?
I see with Witten, he's the top receiver in his team. Romo's looking at him all the time. And I think a lot of that comes from, maybe a nervousness with Romo. I think he doesn't have that big name guy. He doesn't have T.O. that, if he wants to throw it long, he can throw it long too. I just think Jason Witten's always there. That being said, Dallas Clark was phenomenal last week. I don't think he's going to reproduce that output, but with Indianapolis being down on their receivers, I think Dallas Clark is a great play, and I think he's going to win the matchup over the two.
All right, defense, we've got Eagles against Kansas City. Eagles put up 35 points week 1. Next week they come back. They play a tough matchup with New Orleans, -7. You're obviously playing the Eagles over the Colts this week. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. And the Steelers against Cincinnati, rivalry game. Who are you going to go with?
I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles. They're playing Kansas City. Matt Castle didn't look good last week.
No.
I don't think that's going to change over one more week of practice. Steelers, tough defense. They're playing Cincinnati. I think Carson Palmer's playing better. I like Cedric Benson. I kind of like what the Bengals are doing for the most part. I don't think they're going to turn into an elite offense, but I think they're going to be good enough to kind of keep the Steeler defense at bay. I got to give the nod to the Eagles.
I'll give the nod to the Eagles as well. What do you think this game comes down to?
After the nail biter I had last week, I think this is going to turn into a nail biter. I'm planning on buying some more underwear to prepare for this.
Clean ones.
Because things will get pretty streaky, I think. I think I'm going to give the edge. Angrily give the edge to the Doughboy. I think he's going to get the slight upset based on the projections. And I think he goes 3-0 in the division. I'm
going to go with Little Caesar on this one, and I think it's going to come down, like you're saying, to another nail biter. I can't wait to see you sweat again on Monday. I'm going to go ahead and go with Little Caesar wins by 3 points and a John Casey field goal on Monday night. I think you and Jim both have been really streaky, and it's been coming down to these last-minute type things. I think it happens again to both of you. I think this is karma. It's going to keep you guys nervous, but it'll keep everybody else interested. I'm going to go with John Casey in the field goal and Little Caesar winning by 3.
Absolutely.
That concludes our show for week 3. I want to just say thank you to Tim for filling in to Steven.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
And next week we'll be right back as normal with the Commissioner Anderson Show. May all your fantasy players be studs.